Hello and welcome to the Remote Revolution, a podcast by Virtual Mojo. This is where we explore how modern businesses are transforming the way they work through remote teams, virtual support, and smarter operational strategies. In each episode, we bring you insights, conversations, and practical ideas to help entrepreneurs, leaders, and growing companies build efficient, scalable, and future-ready organizations. If you're looking to work smarter, scale faster, and unlock the power of remote talent, you're in the right place. Let's begin.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 17 of The Remote Revolution, with your host Aneeq and Umaima as our guest. Today we're diving into what really happens after business owners spend 6 months on Upwork and the lessons they wish someone had told them before they signed up.
Yeah, and it is a pretty critical and honestly often painful conversation to have because there is just this massive gaping chasm between the glossy utopian promise of these platforms and, the gritty, exhausting reality of actually trying to scale a company on gig labor.
Oh, absolutely. So for those of you listening right now, whether you are a startup founder desperately trying to clear your plate, or maybe a seasoned business owner who is like just dipping your toes into global outsourcing, welcome to this deep dive.
Right.
Our mission today is to really pull back the curtain on the freelance economy because, you have absolutely heard the pitch, right? Instant, cheap, highly skilled global talent just available at the click of a button.
It sounds like a cheat code for business.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a total cheat code.
Yeah.
But we are skipping the slick marketing today.
Yeah.
We are talking strictly about the 6-month hangover.
Oh, the hangover is brutally real. And it usually blindsides anyone who thinks they can just, plug a human being into a broken process and expect an absolute miracle.
Yeah, and the psychological trap is just so easy to fall into. Like the initial excitement of hiring your very first remote graphic designer or copywriter, it's genuinely intoxicating.
Oh, it's a huge dopamine hit.
Right. You post a job description, you go to sleep, and you wake up to like 5 proposals. You hire someone sitting halfway across the globe, and by tomorrow morning you have a finished logo or a blog post for what, $50?
Yeah, $50, and you feel untouchable.
You really do. You feel like a logistics genius. But then you give it 6 months, and that dopamine hit violently morphs into the sheer, unadulterated terror of managing 10 disconnected, autonomous individuals across like 4 different time zones.
All pinging you for passwords at 3 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pinging you for passwords and permissions while you're trying to sleep.
That trajectory is incredibly common, honestly. It happens because these platforms are remarkably good at one specific thing. Like, they solve immediate, burning, transactional problems fast.
Right, like if you need something right this second.
Exactly. If you suddenly need a landing page built by Friday or a video edited overnight, you bypass all the traditional HR red tape. You don't do interviews. You just swipe your credit card and get the labor.
Flexible pricing, no healthcare overhead, no 401k matching, no severance packages. You just buy the outcome.
Okay, let's unpack this, because on paper, that sounds like an absolute dream for profit margins.
It does.
It's basically plug-and-play talent. So if the frictionless access is so incredibly efficient, how does it inevitably turn into a crippling management nightmare?
Well, what's fascinating here is the core, almost controversial misunderstanding that plagues basically every first-time outsourcer. And frankly, the platforms purposefully blur this line.
Oh, they definitely do. Yeah. Business owners fundamentally confuse having access to talent with having an operational system. A freelance marketplace gives you a massive, searchable database of human labor. That is it.
That database.
Right. They provide absolutely zero operational infrastructure. You are essentially renting a pair of hands, but you are not buying the nervous system required to actually coordinate them.
Wait, I want to hover on that.
Yeah.
Access to talent versus an operational system.
Yeah.
The platform sells you the illusion that the talent is the system.
They absolutely do, because their entire revenue model depends on you continuously coming back to the well. They want to take their 20% cut of every transaction.
Right.
So they have no incentive to help you build an independent, self-sustaining business architecture. And because founders mistakenly believe they bought a system, the lack of actual operational structure detonates right around that 6-month mark. The honeymoon phase just abruptly ends.
It crashes hard.
Yeah.
And the shrapnel from that detonation comes in the form of massive hidden costs. The most insidious one, I think, being onboarding fatigue.
Oh, onboarding fatigue will bleed a founder dry. You have to remember the inherent nature of the gig economy. It is mercenary by design.
Yeah, mercenary is the perfect word for it.
Right, because freelancers optimize for their own flexibility and income. They juggle multiple clients, manage their own hours, and honestly, their loyalty is to their own bottom line, not your company's mission.
Which makes sense for them.
Exactly, it makes sense. But when a higher-paying contract comes along, or they simply get bored, they just leave.
Or they just start ghosting you, like the
Right.
response time drops from an hour to a day to a week.
Yep. And the brutal consequence of that is that every single time a freelancer vanishes or a project shifts to a new contractor, the founder has to start completely from scratch.
Oh man, having to re-explain your brand voice again and again.
Yes, you have to grant access to the software suite again. You have to explain why the files are named a certain way. Over time, that repetitive loop of basic training becomes physically and mentally exhausting.
You pay a massive tax and lost focus.
A huge tax. You lose all your momentum.
You essentially demote yourself. I mean, you go from being the visionary architect of your company to a full-time, unpaid trainer for a revolving door of temporary gig workers.
Exactly.
Which bleeds right into the next logistical nightmare. You aren't just training them, you are trying to coordinate them without a central hub.
And that is where the operational chaos truly scales. When you hire multiple independent freelancers, you inherit all of their individual workflows.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Your developer lives in their inbox. Your graphic designer only wants to use the platform's native messaging app, which we all know is terrible.
The worst.
Right. And then your social media manager sends you WhatsApp voice notes, and none of them are even awake at the same time.
So you become a glorified, highly stressed human router.
A human router, that's exactly it.
You take a poorly translated WhatsApp message from the designer, retype it into an email for the developer, wait 12 hours for the developer to wake up and reply, and then route that answer back to the designer. You are manually connecting the dots because the platform is designed to keep them siloed.
Which is the absolute fastest route to crippling decision fatigue. If you are the human router, you are the ultimate bottleneck.
Right.
Your business can only move as fast as you can ferry messages back and forth. You are constantly evaluating new proposals to replace the churn, reviewing incremental project updates, making these tiny operational decisions all day long.
Imagine trying to build a custom home by hiring 20 completely independent subcontractors. You hire a plumber, an electrician, a roofer, but none of them speak the same language, none of them are allowed to have each other's phone numbers, and you are the only person holding the blueprint.
Yeah.
And you've never built a house before in your life.
A perfect recipe for a collapsed roof and a flooded basement.
Seriously. And it totally exposes the grand illusion of the cost savings. You scroll through the marketplace thinking, this is amazing, I can get this complex data entry done for $12 an hour. The ROI is going to be insane.
Right, the magical $12 an hour fix.
Yeah, but that cheap hourly rate becomes astronomically expensive when you factor in your own wasted time. If your time as a founder is valued at, say, $200 an hour, and you just spent 4 hours this week acting as a human router for a $12 task, you are literally lighting money on fire.
You are. You are subsidizing cheap execution with your own premium time. And because you are so overwhelmed, merely throwing tasks over the fence rather than building actual systems, the quality of the end product plummets.
Ooh, yeah.
And this initiates what is known in outsourcing circles as the revision trap.
The revision trap. Just that phrase alone induces panic.
Yeah.
But let's challenge that for a second. If I'm hiring a top-rated, highly vetted freelancer with a 5-star portfolio, shouldn't they just know how to design a high-converting landing page? Why are we trapped in endless revisions?
Because of the fatal difference between tactical hiring and strategic hiring.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, when you are drowning in work, you hire tactically to relieve immediate pressure. You throw a task at that 5-star freelancer with zero context. You don't have documented workflows. You don't share comprehensive brand guidelines. You just type out a 2-sentence brief that says, make me a sales brochure that pops.
Ah, the classic make it pop directive.
Yeah.
The worst brief in the history of design.
Exactly. A 5-star rating means they possess technical skill in their software. It does not mean they possess telepathy. Right. Because they lack the systemic context of your specific business, they deliver something that technically fits the brief but completely misses the mark for your brand. So, you send it back. They fix the color, but break the layout.
More revisions.
Endless revisions. It becomes this deeply frustrating, antagonistic cycle. And the hard truth founders don't want to hear. It isn't because the freelancer lacks talent, it's because the founder lacks operational clarity.
You expect them to read your mind, but you haven't even bothered to write your thoughts down.
Exactly.
And as you frantically assign these disjointed tasks to disconnected mercenaries, you expose the entire company to a massive structural vulnerability. The terrifying key man dependency.
Oh, this is where businesses actually die.
Really die.
Absolutely. Let's say you survive the onboarding fatigue and you strike gold. You find that one incredible freelancer. They learn your eccentricities. They memorize the passwords you casually sent over a secure chat. They manage the entire back end of your Shopify store.
Breathe a massive sigh of relief.
You do. You just let them handle it. But you accidentally build a load-bearing wall out of a single external contractor.
Wow. Yeah, we could connect this to the bigger picture. Freelancers are not internal infrastructure. Their primary loyalty, as it should be, is to their own solo enterprise.
Precisely. If that one crucial freelancer gets sick, takes a full-time corporate job, or simply decides to backpack through Europe for a month, your entire revenue engine grinds to a violent halt.
Because there's no backup.
Right. You have zero continuity protocols. The critical operational knowledge wasn't stored in your company. It was locked inside the brain of someone who doesn't even work for you.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. When you combine the human router chaos, the revision trap, and the underlying paranoia that your key player might just vanish into the digital ether on any given Tuesday, this breeds severe, crippling trust issues in the founder.
It creates a highly toxic operational culture. I mean, one dropped ball on a major client launch, and suddenly the founder assumes everyone is trying to scam them out of billable hours.
Hey, you become a paranoid micromanager. You start demanding daily end-of-day reports. You install time-tracking software that takes screenshots of their desktop every 10 minutes.
Oh, the screenshot monitors, so toxic.
You sit there, paralyzed, watching their cursor move in a shared Google Doc just to make sure they're actually typing. And that oppressive micromanagement creates massive friction, causing the top-tier freelancers to quit because they don't want to be treated like untrustworthy children.
Yeah.
Which kicks off the onboarding fatigue all over again. It's a complete operational doom loop.
The doom loop is the exact moment, usually at month 6 or 7, when a founder hits a physical breaking point. They realize they have built a prison, not a business.
A prison? That's heavy.
But it's true. To survive, they have to radically pivot. They have to shift from reactive outsourcing to a proactive system-first approach.
Which brings us to the most crucial part of this deep dive. For everyone listening who is currently nodding along in a cold sweat, we are going to focus heavily on the actionable strategy, the things to try if you want to escape or completely bypass this 6-month hangover. So, how do we dismantle the doom loop?
Okay, the first non-negotiable step is that you must build structures early. The most successful operators document their workflows aggressively.
Even if you're tiny.
Even if your company is just you and a single part-time virtual assistant, stop relying on scattered, off-the-cuff verbal instructions over Zoom. When you execute a repeatable task, turn on a screen recorder. Narrate what you are doing and why.
Just record yourself doing it.
Exactly. Document the exact clicks, the login portals, the logic behind the decisions. Build rigid SOPs or standard operating procedures.
I could already hear founders pushing back on this, though. They'll say, who has the time to meticulously write out standard operating procedures when I am already drowning in 100 unread emails?
You don't have the time not to do it. Think of it as capital investment. By documenting how a task is done, you are extracting the knowledge from your brain and turning it into an independent asset that lives inside the business.
The system becomes the manager.
Right. So when a freelancer inevitably leaves, you aren't spending 3 days retraining their replacement. You hand the new contractor the documentation and the system trains them.
That drastically lowers the stakes of turnover. Okay, so we've extracted the knowledge, we've built the SOPs. What is the next structural fix?
You have to centralize communication. You must forcibly resign from your role as the human router. Pull every single contractor out of their isolated email threads and WhatsApp chats and force them into a unified, company-owned project management workspace.
But wait, a lot of these freelance marketplaces actively threaten to suspend your account if you take communication off their native platform. They want to monitor everything.
Yeah, it is a controversial gray area, but the reality is you have to own your communication hub to scale. Most terms of service require you to keep the billing and contract milestones on their platform, which you should absolutely do to avoid violating their rules.
Keep the money on the platform?
Keep the money on the platform, but you can mandate that the actual daily execution of the work happens in your company's Slack workspace or an Asana board. The critical shift is making communication visible and lateral.
Lateral communication.
Right. If the web developer needs an asset from the illustrator, they tag them directly in the shared workspace. They do not pass the request through you.
You remove yourself as the bottleneck, forcing the subcontractors to talk to each other using your blueprint. That alone probably buys back, 10 hours a week?
Easily 10 hours.
There is a third crucial element here, which goes against the entire transactional nature of gig work: injecting company culture.
Oh, this is where good operators become great ones. Most founders treat freelancers like digital vending machines. Put a $20 bill in, get a spreadsheet out. But external contractors desperately need context.
How so?
Well, when you onboard someone, don't just throw a task list at them. Take 15 minutes to explain why the business exists. Show them who your target demographic is. Explain the tone of voice.
Okay, to play devil's advocate here, if I'm paying someone purely for data entry or, scheduling social media posts, why do they need to know my 5-year strategic vision?
Because context is the ultimate cure for the revision trap. When an external contributor understands the overarching goal, the work stops being mindless. They can make intelligent micro decisions on their own.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, if they know your brand is aimed at high-end luxury clients, they won't choose a cheap neon font for a graphic, saving you a whole round of revisions. Context transforms them from order takers into actual aligned partners.
They stop working in a vacuum. And as founders implement these systems, the rigid documentation, the centralized communication hubs, the cultural context, they tend to experience a massive paradigm shift. They realize they don't just need better freelancers, they need a fundamentally different workforce model.
That is the natural evolution of operational maturity. Once you build a robust internal system, you realize that managing a chaotic patchwork of part-time, project-based mercenaries is still inherently unstable.
Right.
So businesses transition. They migrate away from purely freelance marketplaces and start recruiting dedicated full-time remote staff.
Wait, hold on. To me, a remote worker is just a freelancer with a different title. If they're both sitting in their living room in Manila or Buenos Aires, why does calling them dedicated staff magically fix my broken systems?
It isn't magic. It is a fundamental shift in alignment and capacity. A freelancer is fractional. Their attention is divided across 5 different clients. They are only accountable for delivering a single isolated project. But a dedicated remote team member is fully integrated into your daily operations. They don't just deliver the project, they are accountable for the ongoing maintenance and improvement of the system itself. They attend your strategic meetings, they understand the long-term vision, and their financial stability is tied directly to your company's success.
You transition from renting fragmented labor to owning your operational infrastructure. You are building a team, not just buying a task. And looking at the broader economic landscape, remote work is only expanding. But the way companies leverage it is going to create a massive divide between the winners and the losers.
Without a doubt, access to incredible global talent is no longer a competitive advantage. It is a baseline commodity. The successful businesses of the future will not be the ones who know how to source a cheap developer at midnight.
All right.
Survival will depend entirely on operational maturity, how effectively you can integrate, systemize, and retain that remote talent over the long haul.
So what does this all mean? It means you absolutely cannot scale a company purely on disjointed, transient gig labor. You can only scale the robust systems that sit behind that labor. Upwork, Fiverr, and the rest, they are fantastic tools for solving immediate problems. But you have to build the factory yourself.
Exactly. If you rely entirely on the tool without building the factory, your own cognitive load eventually becomes the hard ceiling on your company's growth. You become the single point of failure.
To bring this all together for you listening, freelance marketplaces offer unprecedented, frictionless access to global skill sets. But if you try to build a long-term business on cheap execution, without investing the heavy lifting into documented workflows and centralized communication, you are walking straight into a trap.
A trap that will bankrupt your time.
It will. It will bankrupt your time, drain your energy, and completely stall your momentum. You will find yourself at month 6, exhausted, paranoid, micromanaging a dozen strangers, and desperately wondering why you even wanted to be an entrepreneur in the first place.
The ultimate goal is to architect a machine that works for you, rather than a machine that constantly requires you to fix it. So start small today. Document your most repetitive tasks, force all communication into a central hub, and always hire with the long-term operational integrity of your business in mind.
We want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over as you tackle your to-do list today. Take a hard look at your current operational setup. If you completely disconnected and stepped away from your business for a week right now, no phone, no email, no Slack, would your scattered network of remote talent know exactly how to keep the engine running?
That is the real test.
Or would the entire enterprise collapse into chaos because the only real system holding it all together is you?
Answering that question honestly is the most painful, but honestly most necessary step toward achieving actual scale.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We invite you to keep questioning how you work, how you scale, and what kind of machine you are really building. Until next time, keep building smarter.
Thank you for listening to The Remote Revolution. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and share it with other professionals who are building the future of work. To learn more about how Virtual Mojo helps businesses grow with highly trained virtual assistants and remote support teams, visit www.virtualmojo.com. For inquiries or collaborations, reach out to us at contact@virtualmojo.com. Until next time, keep building smarter systems and embracing the future of work.